Close your eyes for a moment, breathe in slowly, and let the weight of the day begin to drift away. Now imagine yourself floating in the deepest, darkest blue you have ever known. The water is cool against your skin, and the silence is so profound it feels almost like a presence. And then, from somewhere in that immeasurable distance, you hear it. A low, resonant hum that seems to vibrate through your very bones. It rises and falls and weaves through the water like a ghostly melody. It is a song that has traveled thousands of miles through the crushing dark, a song that has been sung for millions of years. This is the song of the whale, and tonight we are going to listen. Tonight we are going to explore the deepest mystery of the ocean, the ancient, haunting question that has captivated sailors, scientists, and dreamers for centuries. Why do whales sing? Welcome, dear listener. Welcome to a place where time slows, where the chaos of the world fades into a distant murmur, and where the only thing that matters is the gentle rhythm of your own breath and the profound stories that the ocean has to tell. Settle into your bed, pull the covers up to your chin, and let the soft night light of your imagination flicker to life. We are about to embark on a journey not just across the surface of the earth, but deep into its very soul. We are going to explore the lives of the most magnificent creatures to have ever lived, the great whales, and the haunting, beautiful songs they sing. Imagine, if you will, a world entirely different from our own. A world of pressure, of perpetual twilight, of silent, drifting snow. This is the deep ocean, a realm so vast and so alien that it covers more than half of our planet, yet remains more mysterious to us than the surface of the moon. It is in this world that the whales have made their home, evolving over tens of millions of years from land-dwelling mammals into the leviathans of the deep. They traded legs for flippers, lungs for a profound ability to hold their breath, and the solid ground for the boundless, shifting embrace of the sea. And in this dark, silent world, they developed something extraordinary. They developed language, they developed music, they developed song. The first recorded mention of whale song in the Western world was made by the early whalers, men who spent years at sea hunting these giants. They would speak in hushed, reverent tones about the strange, unearthly noises that came from beneath their ships. They called it the weather forecast, believing the whales were predicting storms. They called it the devil's music, for it seemed to come from a place beyond human understanding. For centuries, these songs were just a part of the myth and mystery of the sea, a sailor's tale told to wide-eyed listeners in smoky taverns. It wasn't until the mid-20th century that the world truly began to listen. In the 1960s, a brilliant marine biologist named Roger Payne, along with his colleague Scott McVeigh, made a discovery that would change the world's perception of whales forever. They were studying the sounds of the humpback whale off the coast of Bermuda, using the newly developed technology of underwater hydrophones. What they heard was not just random noise, not just the simple grunts and clicks of a primitive animal. They heard something else entirely. They heard patterns, they heard rhythms, they heard melodies. Payne and McVeigh realized that these were not just random sounds. They were structured songs with recurring themes, verses, and choruses, much like a human composition. They were complex, they were beautiful, and they were, in a word, haunting. They played these recordings for the first time at the annual meeting of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, and the response was electrifying. For the first time, humanity was listening to the voice of another civilization on Earth. What they heard would eventually be released as the album Songs of the Humpback Whale, which became the best-selling nature recording of all time. It touched a nerve in the global consciousness, sparking the Save the Whales movement and playing a significant part in the creation of the international moratorium on commercial whaling. People listened, and in those songs, they heard a fellow intelligence, a fellow soul, a fellow traveler on this little blue planet. The song of the whale had reached across the divide of species and touched the human heart. Let us now dive deeper and try to understand the anatomy of this mysterious song. A humpback whale song is not a simple thing. It is a complex, hierarchical structure, almost like a piece of classical music. Think of it like a symphony or a grand, epic poem set to music. At its most basic level, the song is made up of a series of individual sounds. Some are low, guttural groans that sound like the creaking of an ancient ship. Others are high-pitched, almost ethereal squeals that seem to echo with the light of distant stars. There are whistles and trills and long, mournful cries that can send a shiver down your spine. These are the notes of the whale's symphony. These individual sounds are then grouped together into phrases. A phrase might be a series of ascending notes or a repetitive pattern of groans and whistles. Think of a phrase like a musical bar, a small, self-contained unit of the song. The whales repeat these phrases over and over, creating a mesmerizing, hypnotic rhythm that can lull even the most restless mind into a state of deep peace. These phrases are then assembled into themes. A theme is a longer section of the song, perhaps lasting for a minute or more, built around a particular pattern of phrases. It might be a theme of slow, descending notes or a theme of rapid, staccato clicks. The themes are the movements of the whale's symphony, each with its own distinct character and emotional weight. These themes are not random. They are structured, and they flow into one another with a kind of musical logic that seems almost inevitable. Finally, the themes are woven together to create the complete song. A full humpback song can last anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, and a whale will often repeat the same song over and over again, sometimes for hours at a time. The entire repertoire of a male humpback can last for many hours, and he will sing them all in a specific order, creating a kind of narrative journey through the night. But this is not a static composition. The song is alive. It is constantly changing, evolving, and being refined. Over a single breeding season, the song of a population of humpbacks will gradually shift and transform. New phrases are introduced, old ones are discarded, and the overall structure of the song undergoes a slow, relentless transformation. It's a continuous process of creation, a living art form that exists only in the minds and voices of the whales themselves. And what is perhaps most remarkable of all is that all the male humpbacks in a single population sing the same song. Yes, you heard that correctly. Thousands of whales, spread across thousands of miles of ocean, all singing the same ever-evolving song. It's a massive, ocean-wide collaboration, a chorus that spans entire seas. How do they manage this feat of communication? That is one of the greatest mysteries surrounding these creatures. We can only imagine that they listen to each other, that they are constantly learning and adapting, their songs spreading like a viral melody through the population, a continuous, synchronized expression of their shared culture. Now we come to the heart of our inquiry. We know the song is complex, we know it is beautiful, but why? Why do these magnificent creatures dedicate so much time and energy to this elaborate, ever-changing performance? Why do they sing? The most prominent theory, and the one most widely accepted by scientists, is that the song is a form of sexual display. Think of it as the most elaborate dating profile in the natural world. The male humpbacks sing to attract a mate. The song is a way of showing off their intelligence, their vitality, and their reproductive fitness. Imagine a young female humpback swimming in the warm, clear waters of the breeding grounds. She is searching for a suitable partner. How is she to choose? There are hundreds of males nearby, all vying for her attention. How does she decide who is the best? The song is her guide. A long, complex, and beautifully sung song is a clear indicator of a healthy, intelligent, and robust male. It takes a great deal of energy to sing, to maintain that complex pattern, and to stay in time with the ever-evolving song of the population. The male who can produce the most impressive song is, in effect, proving to her that he has the best genes, that he can provide for her and her offspring. Think of it like the peacock's magnificent tail. A peacock with a grand, elaborate tail has shown that he has survived despite the burden of carrying it around. It is an honest signal of his fitness. In the same way, the male humpback's song is an honest signal of his health and vitality. It is a performance that demands immense energy and concentration. It is a test of his strength, his endurance, and his intelligence. But the mystery is even deeper than that, because the female whales do not always respond immediately. Sometimes they listen to the song and then they simply swim away. Sometimes they might approach the singer only to turn around at the last moment, and sometimes they choose a completely different male. The song, it seems, is not a simple instruction. It is a complex negotiation, a dialogue of sorts, a dance of attraction and selection that we are only beginning to understand. There is another, even more fascinating aspect to this theory. The songs are not the same for every population. Different populations of humpbacks in different parts of the world sing different songs. A whale from the South Pacific will sing a completely different song from a whale in the North Atlantic. It is their regional accent, their cultural identity. And when a male from one population migrates to another, he might change his song. Over time, he will learn the new song of his adopted population. This is cultural transmission, the passing of knowledge from one individual to another, a hallmark of intelligent, social creatures. But perhaps the song is not just about sex. Perhaps it serves a different or additional purpose. Some scientists believe the song might be a form of sonar, a way for the whales to navigate the vast, dark ocean. These low-frequency sounds travel for hundreds, even thousands, of miles through the water, and the whales may be using the echoes to map their surroundings, to find each other, or to find food. But this theory has its limitations. The whales do not sing year-round. They only sing during the breeding season, and they are still able to navigate just fine when they are not singing. And the song is far too complex and elaborate to be merely a navigation tool. It seems to be something more, something deeper, something that touches the very heart of what it means to be a whale. The mystery remains. We can propose theories and we can study the patterns, but we are still, in many ways, listening to a language we cannot fully understand. We are on the outside, looking in, trying to decipher the meaning of a song that has been sung for millions of years, a song that might be telling us stories we are yet unable to comprehend. But the humpback is not the only singer in the ocean. They are the most famous, the composers of the most elaborate and structured songs, but they are far from alone. The world's oceans are filled with the sounds of whales, each with its own voice, its own dialect, its own unique way of communicating with the world. The blue whale is the largest animal to have ever lived, a true leviathan of the deep. Its song is the loudest sound produced by any animal on the planet. It is a low, deep, and resonant groan that can travel for hundreds of miles, penetrating the very fabric of the ocean. The blue whale's song is not as complex as the humpback's, but it is no less powerful. It is the voice of the ancient sea, a sound that has been echoing through the deep for millions of years. Imagine standing on the deck of a ship in the middle of the vast, empty ocean. You are miles from land, and the only sound is the wind in the rigging and the gentle slap of the waves against the hull. And then you hear it. It is a vibration more than a sound, a deep, primal thrumming that seems to come from the very heart of the earth. It is a sound that speaks of a time before humanity, a time when the giants of the deep ruled the oceans, a time of immense, unimaginable solitude. That is the song of the blue whale. It is the sound of loneliness, of patience, of the slow, eternal passage of time. Then there is the fin whale, the second largest creature on the planet. Its song is similar to the blue whale's, but often features a more regular, rhythmic pattern, like the beating of a giant underwater heart. The minke whale has a much higher-pitched, more varied song, a kind of chattering, grumbling call that can seem almost playful in comparison to the deep, somber tones of the blues. And who can forget the beluga whale, the canary of the sea? They produce a bewildering array of clicks, whistles, and chirps, a constant, cheerful chatter that is a complete departure from the more solemn songs of the other whales. Imagine a world of sound, a world where the landscape is not defined by mountains and valleys, but by the echoes and reverberations of 1,000 different voices. This is the world of the whale. They live in a rich acoustic environment, a world of constant conversation, of shared knowledge, of a community that is spread across the ocean. Their songs are not just individual performances, they are part of a larger, ocean-wide conversation. And we are just beginning to learn how to listen. With modern technology, we are starting to understand the complexity of this conversation, to appreciate the sheer diversity of sounds that fill the deep. We are starting to realize that the ocean is not a silent place. It is a place of sound, of music, of a constant, ever-present voice. The story of whale song is tragically also a story of near extinction and redemption. For centuries, humanity viewed the whales as a resource to be exploited. We hunted them for their blubber, which we used for oil to light our lamps and fuel our machines. We hunted them for their baleen, which we used to make corsets and buggy whips. We hunted them for their meat, which we used to feed our growing populations. It was a brutal, bloody, and relentless assault. We used steam-powered ships to chase them down and explosive harpoons to slaughter them. We processed their bodies on the decks of factory ships, turning their massive, magnificent forms into barrels of oil and stacks of bones. The hunt was driven by a kind of industrial fervor, a belief that the resources of the ocean were there for the taking, that the whales were merely a commodity, a convenient and profitable source of raw materials. The slaughter was unimaginable. It is estimated that over 2 million whales were killed in the 20th century alone. Some populations were hunted to the brink of extinction. The blue whale, the largest creature to have ever lived, was reduced to a mere 1% of its historical population. It was a period of immense, unchecked violence, a time when the songs of the whales were drowned out by the roar of the harpoon cannons and the screams of the dying. But then something remarkable happened. We began to listen. The recordings of whales sung by Roger Payne and Scott McVeigh reached a global audience, and they sparked a profound shift in consciousness. People began to see the whales not as mindless commodities, but as intelligent, sentient beings, capable of creating complex and beautiful music. They heard the songs, and they heard a voice that was worth protecting. The Save the Whales movement was born. This was a grassroots movement, driven by a love for these creatures and a desire to see them protected. It was a movement that understood that the whales were not just another animal, but something more, something that touched the very heart of our shared humanity. People wrote letters to their governments, they protested in the streets, and they refused to buy products made from whale products. They made their voices heard, and the world listened. In 1982, the International Whaling Commission, IWC, voted to impose a moratorium on commercial whaling, a ban on the killing of whales for profit. It was a historic moment, a victory for the conservation movement, and a testament to the power of a single, powerful idea, that these magnificent creatures had a right to exist, that their songs were a treasure worth preserving. The ban came into effect in 1986, and while some nations continue to hunt whales under the guise of scientific research or cultural tradition, the vast majority of the world's whales are now protected. This is a story of redemption, a story of how we, as a species, were able to look past our own selfish interests and make a choice to protect something beautiful. It is a story that gives us hope that we can coexist with the other inhabitants of this planet, that we can learn to listen to their voices, and that we can choose to be the guardians of the earth rather than its destroyers. Now let us leave the grand theories and the epic historical narratives and turn our attention to the more intimate, daily life of these magnificent creatures. Let us imagine what it is like to be a whale, to live in a world of water, of sound, and of constant, gentle motion. Imagine you are a young humpback whale. You were born in the warm, shallow waters of the Caribbean, or perhaps in the lagoons of Hawaii. The water is clear and warm, a world of light and vibrant color. You took your first breath the moment you were born, a great, gasping gulp of air that filled your lungs and started your life. Your mother is close by, her massive body a constant, comforting presence. You feed on her rich, fatty milk, and you grow quickly. In your first year of life, you will put on weight, storing up reserves for the long, arduous journey ahead. But the breeding season is short. Soon, it will be time to migrate. You will travel thousands of miles, following the ancient, invisible paths that your ancestors have followed for millennia. You will leave the warm, shallow waters behind and head for the cold, nutrient-rich waters of the poles. It is a long and perilous journey. There are predators, the killer whales, waiting to pick off the young and the weak. There are huge ocean swells and violent storms to contend with. But you and your mother will travel together, one of the great, epic migrations on the planet. As you travel, you will learn to sing. You will start by making a few simple sounds, and you will listen to the adults, the older males, as they sing their complex songs. You are like a child listening to the music of a master. You will absorb their melodies, learn their patterns, and gradually develop your own voice. It will take time, it will take years. But eventually, you will be able to produce a song of your own, a song that will be part of the shared culture of your population. When you reach the cold, rich waters of the poles, you will begin the next phase of your life. The days are long, sometimes stretching for 24 hours as the sun never sets. You will spend most of your time feeding, skimming the ocean floor, or gorging on vast shoals of krill. You will work with your fellow whales using a technique called bubble net feeding. You will dive deep, and then, as a team, you will blow a curtain of bubbles from your blowholes, creating a shimmering wall that traps the krill in a tight, concentrated ball. Then, with your mouths wide open, you will surge upwards through the center of the ball, filtering out the tiny crustaceans through your baleen plates. It is a magnificent display of cooperation, a symphony of movement that is as beautiful as any song. And at night, when the endless twilight of the polar summer fades, the whales will sing. The males will hang in the dark water, suspended in the silence, and they will produce their songs. It is a nightly concert, a performance that continues for hours as the sounds drift through the cold, dark water. These are the quiet, intimate moments of their lives, the moments of song, of connection, of a community that stretches across the vastness of the ocean. Let us now delve into some of the more fascinating and perhaps surprising facts about whale song. Did you know that the frequency of a blue whale's song is so low that it can cause the water pressure to fluctuate, creating a faint, almost imperceptible tremor in the surrounding sea? If you were close enough to a singing blue whale, you would not just hear it, you would feel it. The sound would vibrate through your entire body, a physical sensation that would be both exhilarating and deeply unsettling. Did you know that the song of a humpback whale has been known to change drastically and suddenly? It is not a slow, gradual evolution. Sometimes, a population of whales will adopt an entirely new song, seemingly overnight. It is as if a brilliant new composer emerges from the depths, and the entire population decides to switch to his new masterpiece. How and why this happens is one of the most intriguing mysteries of whale biology. It is as if the whales are constantly reinventing their art, creating new songs to express their ever-changing world. Did you know that some whale songs have a specific rhyme structure? Just like in human poetry, the whales will sometimes repeat a particular sound or phrase at the end of a theme, creating a sense of closure, a sense of formal structure. This suggests that the whales are not just producing random sounds. They are composing music according to a set of internal rules, a kind of grammar of the deep. Did you know that the songs of whales can travel for thousands of miles, crossing entire oceans? The low-frequency sounds they produce are capable of penetrating the very fabric of the planet. They can travel through the cold, dense layers of the deep water, traveling further and further, like a message in a bottle, drifting through the abyss. It is believed that whales on one side of the Pacific Ocean can hear the songs of whales on the other side. They are part of a global conversation, a planetary choir. Did you know that male humpbacks often sing at night, when the ocean is at its most quiet? The darkness and the silence seem to be the perfect conditions for their songs. They hang, motionless, in the dark water, their heads angled slightly upwards, and they sing. It is as if they are serenading the moon, or perhaps simply singing to the vast, empty ocean. Did you know that the songs of killer whales are completely different from those of the baleen whales? Killer whales produce a series of clicks, whistles, and pulsed calls that are used for echolocation and communication. They are not songs in the same way that a humpback's song is. They are more like a language, a complex code that they use to hunt and to socialize. It is a reminder that the ocean is filled with a diversity of voices, each with its own purpose and beauty. And so, dear listener, we have come to the end of our long journey. We have drifted through the deep, dark waters. We have listened to the ancient songs of the whales, and we have marveled at the mystery of their meaning. We have explored the theories, the history, and the intimate details of their lives. And we have come to realize that the question of why whales sing is perhaps less important than the fact that they do. Their songs are a gift, a magnificent expression of the beauty and complexity of life on this planet. They are a reminder that we are not alone, that the world is filled with other voices, other minds, other ways of being. They are a link to a past that stretches back millions of years, a past that is still alive in the melodies that drift through the deep. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine that you are floating in the warm, dark water of the Pacific. The only sound is the gentle hum of a distant whale, a song that has been sung for 1,000,000 years. Let the sound wash over you, let it carry you away, let it rock you gently into a deep and peaceful slumber. Good night, dear listener. Sleep well, and may the songs of the whales be with you always, a gentle and beautiful melody in the quiet of the night.